Good morning, turnaround leaders. This is Otis with OtisClayton.com. And today I want to talk to you about a strategy to increase student achievement and growth through mathematics. Now, I'm not a math teacher, and I posted a video yesterday about how do you help math teachers. It's really important that you have some strategies up under your belt if you are a turnaround principal or you are a turnaround teacher leader within your school building. So I want to equip you guys with some strategies. I'm working on a class that will help go deeper into some of the expectations and things that will help move that needle with student achievement. So the title of this is Effective Questioning for Small Groups. So here are the objectives, but the main objective is to consider what teaching to support conceptual understanding looks like in mathematics, including feedback, a series of lessons, and implementation of rigorous instructional tasks. Because in order for us to move the needle with student achievement, it is the work that the students do. So we have to put quality tasks in front of students. So here is some research behind questioning. It has an effect size of 0.59, which is great. And teachers should use cues and questions that focus on what is important. So yesterday we talked about not trying to cover everything, but really looking at the standards and what are students required to know and be able to do. And finally, questions help students activate prior knowledge and relate new knowledge to what they already know. So that's the scaffolding part of our instructional process. So what are assessing and advancing questions? So these are some of the characteristics. Assessing questions are based closely on the student work that they've done. It clarifies what the student has done and what the student understands about what they've done, and it provides information to the teacher. So it's a check for understanding. But the advancing questions use what students have produced as a basis for making progress toward the goal. So now that you understand percentages or ratios, how does that apply to a new situation? So that's a part of the mathematical task, but more importantly, it's a part of the conceptual understanding of students using what they know to advance mathematical concepts. So here are the structures and routines of a lesson when you have a task. And so you will notice the beginning is the setup of the task, which is done by the instructor, the teacher. And then we dive right into the explore phase of private or individual work time, and then small group time for students. So this is the area that we'll focus on because this is where students are doing the majority of the work. And that's when we move the needle on student achievement, when we allow students to do the work. So the explore phase or that small group, during that small group phase, teachers engage with students in their small group discussions. As kids are talking about the work, teachers ask questions to assess the current level of understanding and to advance them toward the mathematical goals. The key feature here is not to take over the students' thinking. Oftentimes we see students struggling and we want to tell them that one thing, and there are some things that you can do within the TAPL model I've talked about as a check for understanding. However, it's okay to allow students to have some productive struggle. Don't jump in and save them because you deny them their productive struggle, which will lead to that solid foundation of learning the concept. And that only happens if and only if you have done the next part, which is the task analysis guide. So in the training, we talk about a task analysis guide in which we have multiple solution paths to a task and creating these assessing and advancing questions because we know what's going to happen with a student. And I give the analogy that it's akin to someone coming to your house. You know exactly where they are supposed to go. However, you ask them questions. What do you see to your left? What do you see to your right? And once they answer those questions, you can better guide them toward your house. The same thing with the standards. You understand the standards, but we have to ask the questions that are going to get students engaged enough to move forward and answer correctly the task that we've given them. And so the pre-planning is when you do the setup phase for the procedures and routines of the lesson. So advancing and assessing and advancing questions, this comes from the National Council of Teaching for Mathematics. Effective teaching requires being able to support students as they work on challenging tasks without taking over the process of thinking for them. That is that wait time. And we look at asking questions that assess student understanding of mathematical ideas, strategies, or representations, provides teachers with insights into what students know and can do. That's all the standards are. It is an explanation of what students are supposed to know and what they should be able to do. That's the standard. The insights gained from these questions prepare teachers to then ask questions that advance student understanding of mathematical concepts, strategies, or connections between representations. This is the conceptual understanding, which is 50% of the rigor portion that we talked about with the standards being focused, coherent, and rigorous. Rigor has those three components, one of them being conceptual understanding. So here it is again, just revisiting what assessing and advancing questions are, differentiating them. Assessing questions, what has the student already done, and asking them questions about that. And then the advancing questions move students beyond their current thinking by pressing students to extend what they know to a new situation. And so this is done through modeling and effective teaching that scaffolds student understanding. These will be your higher level thinking questions. So your assessing questions are your what have you done, why did you do it, which is still an evaluative, but as you advance students up the ladder of that cognitive process, you have to ask more challenging questions that will press their thinking. And so what we will do in the training that I've done with teachers is we will analyze a piece of student work. And I know that most of us are not math teachers. We're not as smart as all the math teachers we have in our building. But we got it in such a way that we understand what the standard is asking the students to do. And what questions do we create to assess and advance students' understanding around the task that is based on the standard, which is also based on our daily objective. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this small snippet of a training. If you have questions, please contact me at otisclayton.com for information about training at your own pace and resources to assist you with increasing student achievement and growth. Just hit me up. I'll be more than willing to help you. All right, thanks, guys. Have a great day.